Welcome all to Talks and Views. In this video we will discuss Article E7, Examination. This article answers an important question. Once the presentation is complete, when does the bank's examination period begin, and how are electronic records examined? Let's dive into the video now.
Article E7, A. When does examination start? The examination period does not begin simply because the bank receives an electronic record. Remember what we learned in Article E6. The presenter must send a notice of completeness. The examination period begins on the banking day following the day on which the notice of completeness is received.
Article E7, A. 2. What if the presentation deadline is extended? Now let's connect Article E7 with Article E6, E. Suppose the bank's electronic system is unavailable on the expiry date. Under Article E6, E, the bank may be deemed closed and the presentation deadline is extended to the next banking day when the bank can receive an electronic record. What happens to the examination period? The examination period begins on the next banking day after the bank is able to receive the notice of completeness at the place of presentation. Example: the original presentation deadline is Friday. The bank's electronic system is unavailable on Friday. The system becomes capable of receiving electronic records on Monday. The notice of completeness is received on Monday. The examination period begins on the next banking day, Tuesday.
Before dive into the video, we need to tell about us. Trade Hunt Management has been delivering professional training in trade finance and compliance certifications since 2011, with over a decade of specialized experience. We provide structured preparation for globally recognized certifications including CDCS, CSDG, CITF, CSCF, ACAMS, CGSS, and CCAS. Our training is led by Sudhakar Sanjeevi, CDCS Advocate, CSDG, ACAMS, CGSS, CCAS, providing practical industry insights, exam-focused guidance, and professional mentoring. With a strong commitment to quality and a 4.6/5 Google rating, we support professionals in achieving their certification and career goals. Trade Hunt Management, empowering professionals through knowledge, certification, and career excellence.
Article E7, B. External hyperlinks. This is one of the most important concepts in Article E7. Sometimes an electronic record contains a hyperlink to another external system. For example, an electronic bill of lading may contain a link to the shipping company's electronic platform. The bank may need to access that external system to examine the electronic record. Under eUCP, the information available through that hyperlink or external system is considered an integral part of the electronic record being examined. What if the external system doesn't work? This is extremely important. Suppose the electronic record contains a hyperlink. The bank tries to access it during examination. But the external system is unavailable and the required electronic record cannot be accessed. Normally, this constitutes a discrepancy. There is an exception under Article E7, D, 2.
Article E7, C, Format. Suppose the eUCP credit specifies a particular format. For example, electronic commercial invoice must be presented in XML format. But the bank system cannot examine an XML file. Can the bank refuse the presentation simply because its own system cannot examine the required format? No. The inability of the nominated bank acting on its nomination, confirming bank, or issuing bank to examine the required format specified by the eUCP credit, or if no format is specified, the format in which the electronic record was presented is not, by itself, a basis for refusal.
Article E7, D. Nominated bank and apparent authenticity. Suppose a nominated bank receives electronic records. The nominated bank forwards those records to the issuing bank or confirming bank. What does that forwarding signify? It signifies that the nominated bank has satisfied itself regarding the apparent authenticity of the electronic records.
Article E7, D, 2, External system failure after a complying determination. Suppose the nominated bank examines the presentation. The nominated bank determines that the presentation is complying. The nominated bank forwards or makes the electronic records available to the confirming bank or issuing bank. The nominated bank may or may not have honored or negotiated. Later, the issuing bank or confirming bank cannot access one or more electronic records because a specified hyperlink or external system is unavailable. What happens? The issuing bank or confirming bank must honor or negotiate, or reimburse the nominated bank, even though it cannot examine one or more of those electronic records because the specified hyperlink or external system is unavailable. Why? Because the nominated bank has already determined that the presentation complies and has forwarded or made the records available. The inability of the later bank to access the external system does not allow it to simply refuse the complying presentation in this situation. Now let's test your understanding on this article with few questions. Question 1. A nominated bank receives the notice of completeness on Monday. Tuesday is a banking day. When does the examination period commence? A. Monday. B. Immediately upon receipt of the first electronic record. C. Tuesday. D. Wednesday. Answer, C.
Question 2. An electronic record contains a hyperlink to an external system containing information required for examination. Under eUCP, how is that information treated? A. It is ignored by the bank. B. It is considered a separate presentation. C. It is deemed to be an integral part of the electronic record being examined. D. It can only be examined by the beneficiary. Answer, C.
Question 3. An eUCP credit requires an electronic record in a particular format. The beneficiary presents it in the required format, but the issuing bank system cannot examine that format. Can the issuing bank refuse solely on this basis? A. Yes, always. B. Yes, if the issuing bank system is outdated. C. No, the inability to examine the required format is not, by itself, a basis for refusal. D. Yes, unless the beneficiary changes the format. Answer, C.
Question 4. A nominated bank forwards electronic records to the issuing bank. What does the forwarding signify under Article E7? A. The nominated bank has guaranteed the underlying goods. B. The nominated bank has accepted the credit. C. The nominated bank has satisfied itself as to the apparent authenticity of the electronic records. D. The issuing bank has already honored the credit. Answer, C.
Question 5. A nominated bank determines that a presentation is complying and forwards the electronic records to the issuing bank. The issuing bank subsequently cannot access a specified external system containing one of the electronic records. Assuming the conditions of Article E7, D, 2, are met, what must the issuing bank do? A. Automatically refuse the presentation. B. Ask the beneficiary to present the record again. C. Honor or negotiate, or reimburse the nominated bank, as applicable. D. Cancel the credit. Answer, C.
If you are looking for professional training for CDCS, CSDG, CITF, CAMS, CGSS, CCAS examinations, then you can contact Trade Hunt Management on the contact details appearing on the screen right now.